We are off and rolling here on a Monday. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Kinner Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. It's time to reintroduce myself. Kev Nash, I'm Justin Kinner, and obviously I know your name, so welcome.
What up, though?
Happy
Good
Monday.
to meet you, man.
It's been a while.
Been a while, man. We got so much to talk about. Obviously, that's been going on in sports, from the NFL getting ready to start up to the Olympics. We got so much to talk about. But before we do that, I do have to let everybody know why I was out. I'll make this as brief as possible.
Yeah, why were you?
Got a water issue at the house. You've seen the pictures. Had a leak inside my wall, and that leak had been leaking for a little bit of time, and I was washing clothes and I stepped in a puddle of water. So obviously turn off the water, get some plumbers to come out there, get some people to, help clean up the situation. They open up the wall, drip, 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 drip. Open up the baseboards. Oh, there's that lovely stuff called mold. So yeah, I've been dealing with that for like the last week and a half, and it's not over, and it's not going to be over anytime soon. So anybody out there want to help me out, send me some good wishes, some prayers, I would gladly accept them.
Well, again, it's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. We are back at it here today. Yes, we do promise to return to more of a regular schedule as we get closer and closer to football season. Again, just navigating through a couple different projects here at the station to get everything back in line. But we're excited about that. But we are back today. We'll be back all week. Keep that in mind. So we have a lot coming your way here this week. I do know we're going to talk with Phil Steele, all things college football. A couple guys will be having on from ESPN to talk about this ongoing scandal with all that cheating team up north. The team that has not done anything wrong. The team, everyone else is doing. Did you see the trailer, whatever you want to call it, released for cheaters or whatever they're calling it? On Netflix, and there's a little line in there where Connor Stallions, the little weasel, says something along the lines of, well, if I'm a bad guy, everybody's a bad guy. I mean, he's leaning into, if this is WWE wrestling, he's leaning into the heel persona. He is leaning into it all. They have gaslit themselves. They have literally they have bought in their own lie. They literally think they have done nothing wrong, and that is what is fascinating. And every time I start to doubt myself, like, well, maybe I am piling it on a little thick. Maybe they haven't done anything that wrong. Then more reports come out, like what just came out over the weekend. And I don't think it's I see that on the Michigan message boards. All right, this is where the tough guys hang out. Okay, that they're questioning not what was in the report, but isn't it weird how ESPN is releasing this before Michigan even sees it? Michigan was there. They had a front row seat. They did it. They're trying to, I mean, it's right out of basically the political handbook of let's just discredit all media, right? We're going to literally gaslight all media reports that come out and just say it's fake news so that it tries to, now you create controversy and try to water down the blow of what is actually in the report. The bottom line is it doesn't matter if it came from MSNBC, CNN, Fox, ESPN, Yahoo Sports, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is no one's denying the report. They're just trying to point the finger at ESPN saying it's a hit piece, which is so funny because why would they hit Michigan and not Ohio State or whatever? Like, this whole thing is just laughable to me as far as I'm concerned. Give me a break.
Yeah, my question is, who else would be, reporting it? I mean, there's a reason why the NCAA leaks these things to the biggest sports media outlet out there, because it is ESPN. You could, I guess, release it to FS1. I'm sure they got a lot of stuff going on with the whole Skip Bayless no longer working there thing. I'm sure they'll be looking for some type of distraction, but, ESPN, Get Up, First Take, Sports Center, whatever show you watch, it is the mothership. It is the end-all be-all when it comes to sports entertainment, and that is where you're going to leak your biggest story. And let's not be fools here. The reason they're doing this is because of the documentary. Like, he's pointing his finger at the NCAA. He's antagonizing the NCAA. I'm not a parent, but I'm a younger brother, and there's nothing more annoying than antagonizing people. Like, my brother antagonized me all the time growing up, and I would run and tell my mom. And why you go telling me? Because you were antagonizing me. That's why. You already won the video game, but you had to remind me 13 times. So I'm telling mommy. Like, that's basically what's happening here. The NCAA is like, oh, you won your national championship. You're taking your pictures at the Rose Bowl. Now you're making a documentary off of this. You're gonna make some money off of this. Nah, we're gonna go ahead and release this to the biggest sports media outlet out there. And now the heat is on, not only on Connor Stallions, but the heat is on the current head coach. And there's no mystery why so many other coaches on that coaching staff that were there are no longer there. You know, they got out of Dodge, you know, smartly enough. You know, the smartest one probably being the head coach. He got out of Dodge, went to the NFL. Other coaches coaching other schools, coaching at high school levels now and stuff like that. Now Sharon Moore and his weird text messages, all 52 of them are, you know, going to be left holding the bag.
Yeah, and that is the key thing too. Now, Nick on Facebook messages in, says the Big Ten gave it to them last year. Like, I don't know how I mean, again, I don't know how they're waving the victim flag. Shaw, I know that you've been all over my Facebook page today, all pissed off and all this stuff. I'm just, you know, Ryan Strunk says he blames the mold in your house on Connor.
Probably, man. Probably. He probably knows how much of a Buckeye fan I am, and he set me up. But, you know, seriously, though, man, like, this is typical for the NCAA. I remember you and I and Shaw having this conversation about, like, you know, the NCAA, they're coming for Michigan. They're coming for Michigan. You know, I was like, well, there's 9 times out of 10, this story is going to break around Big Ten Media Days. Okay, a week after Big Ten Media Days. Like, so, like, yes, this is technically old news because I don't necessarily believe anything in the report was new. These are all things that have been talked about, but now it's officially on wax. Like, I guess before it was just rumors, but now the NCAA can confirm that it was Connor Stallions in disguise on Central Michigan's sideline. Yeah, they've confirmed a lot of these things. And then the 52 deleted text messages between Connor Stallions and Coach Moore. Like, you know, you leave the program in Coach Moore's hands, who was also suspended for a game last season for recruiting violations as well. So he's a repeat offender of these type of things. Look, man, you say it all the time. You say this all the time, that Michigan didn't need to cheat. They didn't need to do this. They're Michigan. They didn't need to cheat. Well, I think you're wrong, bro. I think you're wrong on this account because apparently they did need to cheat to go ahead and win themselves a national championship because their record before Connor Stallions is dramatically different from when it was when he was a part of the program. They were like 40-3 when he was a part of the program. Before that, I want to say like 40. I actually got the actual number. Yes. They were 49-26 before Connor Stallions and then 40-3 after him. Apparently, he's made some type of difference.
Winning all the rivalry games.
Yeah.
National championship.
Yeah.
Big Ten championship. I mean, yeah, everything changed the second he became. The fact that he hadn't won some kind of assistant coach of the year award, that's the big robbery in all this.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, apparently they did have to cheat in order to win, which is fine. You know, they cheated. They won. You know, games are played on the field. Yes, they had a distinct advantage and they cheated their way to a national championship. And I guess we just all have to deal with it because guess what? You know, you're not going to take the memories away from the Michigan fans. It's not going to take away from the hurt that we felt losing to that team 3 years in a row. It still hurts. Like, oh, what are they going to do? Strip them of the win against Ohio State? It isn't like, oh, man, Ohio State, now you get the win, and now you replay, and then you go to the Big Ten championship game, and then we replay the playoff. The games have already happened. It isn't like all the Michigan fans that pay good, hard-earned money to go to these games, they're going to get reimbursed for that. You know, it happened. It is what it is. But now you have to pay the piper, and paying the piper is going to be, I don't know, maybe a couple games suspension for Coach Moore. I guess. Is it going to be another financial slap on the wrist to the university? I guess. Like, there's nothing you really can do to the program nowadays. Like that whole SMU, you know, nuking the program type of situation, the death penalty, that doesn't exist anymore. So it's weird, but it kind of is what it is. I'm glad that it's out in the public, that everybody knows that you cheated, and nobody's going to forget it. Just like nobody forgets that the Patriots cheated. Nobody forgets that the Houston Astros cheated. Nobody forgets the White Sox cheated way back in the day. You are in those grounds. Nobody forgets about Barry Bonds and steroids. Cheater, just like Michigan. Cheaters.
So Tyrell Snow says, we will just walk into Columbus this year and lay the smack down. And after that, I want both of you to apologize. And that's the thing that the Michigan fans don't understand is, I'm here to tell you, Michigan can win the next 10 straight games. Don't want that. Don't think that's going to happen. But they can win the next 10 straight games. It does not change the fact that you cheated to win the national championship.
Right.
I don't like, this isn't like, I don't know why you guys. Again, you're just trying to remind us that Michigan won, and I think that them winning, with what they were doing, like I'd be embarrassed. I'd be really embarrassed to be a Michigan fan right now. I really, really would.
But everybody's doing it, Justin.
And like the thing is, like for those fans of programs who like that, they were paying players to come to their program. I'm not saying that that's not a big deal, but that's like I'll say a level playing field, but that's the normal cheating that goes on to
that
players.
Is what everybody's doing.
That's what everybody, there are sign stealing things where like you're keeping an eye on their hand signals over on the sideline. This was a perfectly executed scheme that worked for years until all of a sudden there was a questionable figurehead over at Western Kentucky or Eastern Kentucky or not Eastern Michigan or whatever. Central Michigan. It was one of the Michigans. I had to just work my way through Kentucky first. But like the thing is, like, you have no one to blame but yourselves. Don't be mad at Ohio State fans, because if Ohio State did something as embarrassingly stupid as your team did, you guys would be doing the same. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, Ohio State fans are being over the top. You would be just as bad. But what's even worse is defending it. I have no clue. I do not think that all Ohio State fans would do what Michigan fans are doing. I think you're looking at two of them right here that if Ohio State had been accused of and data and facts had come out exactly of what Michigan has done, you're looking at two Ohio State fans in this studio right now that I know for a fact would not sit here and just say, man, everyone's doing it. Everyone's out to get Ohio State. We're the real victims. I know for a fact you and I would not be those two Buckeye fans. I haven't come across any logical Michigan fan out there that actually thinks that what they did was not that big of a deal.
It's definitely a big deal. And, I'll take a step further, and maybe this is a step too far. Let me know. So in the report, there's talking about things of, alleging that they shared this information that they had on other teams. Yep. And one of those other teams is the Tennessee Volunteers. The year they were like super good, Hendon Hooker's senior year there. And Hendon Hooker was looking like he's going to be like a first, second round pick at quarterback for Tennessee. And they played one of their SEC rivals, they being South Carolina. And South Carolina was having a South Carolina type of year, regular old South Carolina, like, oh man, they're going to go 7-5 or whatever. Typical South Carolina year. But on that one special night, they bit the biggest and hottest team in college football, probably the second best team in the SEC that year. Not just one, like at a last second field goal or pick six to ice the game or anything like that. They laid the smackdown on Tennessee, who seemed unstoppable all season long until they went to South Carolina. So the rumor is that Michigan thought they would potentially face Tennessee in the college football playoffs. So they had been doing their, illegal scouting on them. And that information was shared with South Carolina, again, allegedly. And Hendon Hooker tore up his knee in that game. He made a check from the sidelines. South Carolina made a check into the perfect blitz, which tore his knee up, which cost him several rounds of being drafted in the NFL. So if this is going to be held to the fire and head to the light and everybody's going to do their digging, what's stopping Hendon Hooker from suing the University of Michigan for costing him millions and millions and millions of dollars and potentially an NFL career? Have you heard anything about Hendon Hooker since that game outside of him being drafted like in the 4th, 5th round? We haven't heard a word, a peep about Hendon Hooker, but we sure heard about Hendon Hooker going into that season. We sure heard about him going into that NFL draft before the injury. So, like, this isn't off base that Hendon Hooker could, have some legal action versus the University of Michigan.
I mean, Tyrell's on a roll.
Hello, Tyrell. Appreciate you listening.
He said, we live rent-free in your head. If you think that Ohio State has never done anything, any form of cheating to win, you're insane. What are we doing here, Tyrell Snow? Like, what he's arguing different points. He wants us to argue about something that's not on the table right now. We're not talking about Ohio State. We're talking about Michigan cheating. Yeah. If you want to talk about Ohio State cheating, I guess we have to go back about 15 years ago when, Terrell Pryor was driving a Mazda 6 on campus. And that was like a big to-do. Like, oh, man, where'd he get a $100,000 vehicle from? Ooh, goodness, Terrell Pryor, bad guy. Oh, OHIO. Like, you want to go back that far? We can, I guess. And by the way, Mazdas weren't winning football games for Ohio State. Cheating, sign stealing, all these things that your guys did. And I love how they keep acting like what they did wasn't that big a deal. Like, oh, that's nothing. That's not why we were winning. Then why? There's so much effort and energy and money and resources being invested into this plan. It was a 300+ page manifesto, you weirdos. Like, what are you doing? Why is it so hard for fans just to say, yeah, what our team did was weird? You're not going to lose your fan card. In fact, you would actually get more support from outside fan bases saying, man, that stinks. But now we're digging our heels even more because y'all are trying to gaslight us like we're the crazy one.
Absolutely. And you don't delete text messages if you don't think he did anything wrong. You are deleting them and hiding them because you know you've done something wrong. Like that's what that means.
Delete text messages when your wife asks where they go and just say, "Oh, don't worry about it, babe. Everyone does it.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just saying.
Don't look at my iPad.
Right. Yeah. Ryan Strong says, Michigan fans remind me of a husband that gets caught cheating on his wife and blames his wife for looking through his phone. That's a good point.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
That's a great point, Michigan fans. Thank you, Ryan Strong. Ryan Strong just summed it up perfectly. Michigan fans, the way you're acting about this, about getting caught, you're not sorry for your team cheating. You're blaming you're blaming your wife for reading your text messages as opposed to apologizing for what's there. That's what Shaw's doing. When Shaw writes on the Facebook page all day today, making fun of the fact that it's ESPN who's reporting him, I thank Shaw. I cited who was reporting. I don't need to be told who's reporting it. Why do you have any comments on what's inside of it? Then he put hashtag Ohio Soft. I'm like, what are we doing?
Big Ten Network's talking about it too. Like, I mean, it's one of the hottest stories in sports right now. I mean, I think it's pretty evident that it should be talked about. And with ESPN, I believe their entertainment sports network, I think they should be talking about it. Like, that's kind of like what they do.
Yep. And would you guys have that same energy if the roles were reversed and they were talking about Ohio State? No, you'd be doing everything that you're accusing us of doing. Tyrell says, I absolutely think the whole scandal was ridiculous, but you can't just drag Michigan through the mud, especially after we beat you. We can, and we are. Like, in fact, as embarrassed as you think Ohio State fans are for losing to you for 3 straight years, and that is pretty dang embarrassing.
It is.
To be honest, it kind of gives us, we feel pretty damn cool knowing that the lengths that you guys have to go to, knowing what little lengths we have to go through our team to beat your team. It's almost kind of flattering to hear what they had to do to beat our team. Did you really beat Ohio State? Sounds like you cheated to beat Ohio State. So therefore, it's like, now it all makes sense. That's why it's like I'm smiling today because I'm like, man, those last three Saturdays of Thanksgiving weekend have just been brutal, but they're not so brutal anymore. It's a badge of honor that it takes a 300+ page manifesto and it takes millions and billions and billions of dollars of an executed plan to go scout every opponent possible and every Ohio State game possible just to give your team an advantage. Congratulations, cowards. That's what Michigan is. That's really what it comes. You didn't win anything. You cheated.
Cheated, man.
Asterisk.
It's not cool. It's not right, but it is what it is because the games have happened. And you know what? We'll find out when they play again in November.
Well, my favorite thing that Tyrell just said is, Ryan, she shouldn't have went through the phone. So with that, Michigan cheated. To sum up,
might find out what you actually looking for. You go looking for it, you're gonna find it. I'll tell you that.
I mean, and this is why, like, I don't know, but like in Harbaugh, you guys aren't disgusted with him. And by the way, in all seriousness, I tell you what, we'll talk more about this when we come back. I want to get into some NFL stuff. USA Today coaches poll came out today.
The coaches poll.
Cincinnati Reds, Cleveland Guardians topic I want to jump into coming up later on in the show as well. We have a ton to dive into. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN's Pete Thamel was on the Pat McAfee show earlier today and had an update on what the punishment could be for Sherrone Moore, the head coach at Michigan. So we'll close the book on that conversation when we come back, and we'll jump into the USA Today coaches poll. We have plenty more coming your way. Don't go anywhere. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here. Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. I can't believe what a rookie mistake. I didn't have headphones today. I had to go grab some from the other station. These big old honking things.
Got a new look, man.
It looks real. I didn't have a football helmet on right now. But the bass that comes through these things, for such a weird set of headphones, I mean, these things put out some noise. So there you go.
Boom, boom, boom.
Hope everyone's
boom,
had a great weekend, and I hope you guys have all had a great day as well. We opened up the show. We had to, of course, with that's the thing that Michigan fans keep doing as well, Kev, is they're doing this whole thing as if like we're just like forcing this on listeners. Like this just came out yesterday.
Right.
Last week, Shaw got on me. You keep bringing this up and nobody cares. The only reason I brought it up last week or 2 weeks ago was because it was the announcement of the teaser, the documentary that was coming out on Netflix. Like that's why it's not like just out of, you know what I mean? It's not like out of nowhere. We just bring it up. There's always a reason that this stuff gets brought up. It's because more and more is now known. So
is he just as mad at Condor Stallions for doing the documentary?
That's what it's his fault. We had kind of let it go. We'd kind of forgot every once in a while, drop out that cheating team up north or whatever.
Right.
And I will always do. But it is what it is. So Dan Murphy, who's going to be on the show with us on Wednesday with ESPN, broke the report along with ESPN's Pete Thamel. Okay. And not really the report, but they're the ones that released the findings. So new Michigan head coach Sharon Moore, according to ESPN's the article here, says that Sharon Moore is one of 7 members from the 23 football program accused of violating NCAA rules in a draft of the NCAA's notice of allegations, which was obtained by ESPN. The draft, which could be subject to change, states that Moore could face a show cause penalty and possibly a suspension for allegedly deleting a thread of 52 text messages with former Michigan staffer Connor Stallions. Not 1 or 2 text messages. Not, oh man, he asked me how I was doing. I said, fine. What you doing this weekend? Got plans? Nothing. Me and the wife going to a movie. Cool. What you doing after? Thought we'd go get some ice cream. Want to join us for that? Nah, we'll be putting the kids to bed by then. What about next Tuesday? Now we're at what? 52 texts? No, it wasn't those kind of texts. You ain't deleting those texts. Let's be real. Don't be naive.
Right.
Okay? You can be a fan. Just don't be naive. The draft states that the texts were later recovered via device imaging, and that Sharon Moore had subsequently produced them to enforcement staff. Moore is accused of committing a level 2 violation according to the draft. Now, this is key. Here is ESPN's Pete Thamel earlier today, okay, on the Pat McAfee show when he was asked to kind of give more information on what's going on.
The notice of allegations draft, 7 Michigan coaches, 6 former ones, and then current coach Sharon Moore have been implicated in this by the NCAA and are going to face punishment from the Committee on Infractions unless they negotiate resolution. Sharon Moore is obviously the headline of this, Pat. He's the current coach at Michigan. In the notice draft, they say he's a repeat violator because of violations in the COVID era recruiting sanctions that Michigan got. And he was obviously suspended for the opener last year against East Carolina. So he faces, the draft says, potential suspension and perhaps a show cause order. Now, it is just a level 2 allegation. So I wouldn't expect any huge fireworks on that, but I think one of the more relevant, significant punishments that could come from this is some type of potential punishment for Sharon Moore.
Sharon Moore. This is just from now they're talking about the Sharon Moore angle of this. That's separate from the program punishment.
Right.
The program punishment. This is what Shaw kept mocking us about. Oh, I thought we were going to have wins vacated. I remember when they had the big sign it had the number of how many how many games they had won. What was the total or whatever? Like the most wins ever.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you better not throw out that sign. You might have to reuse it again coming up here in a few years when you have to re-win those games back. They got so mad at that. But wins are going to be vacated, and I think that's silly. It doesn't take away those wins.
Right.
It takes it off the paper. Who cares? Those players that walked off the field as winners, they're still winners. Okay, asterisks, but winners. They could vacate the national championship, whatever. You think this could take away the joy that Shaw and everyone had, their team hoisting up the national championship? No, but at the same time, they're not taking away national championships for something that everybody else is doing. Let's just make that clear. And I also do not think, by the way, I do not think that they are going to take away. I do not think that they're going to take away the national championship. I don't think they're going to vacate any major wins, but keep in mind, I got to go back and find this. because there was a punishment that just came down for, was it Kansas? Yeah. So NCAA announces violations by Kentucky football and swimming. Here's what happened. At least 11 football players received payment for work not performed between the spring of 21 and March of 2022. Those violations led to wins being taken away and all this. Like a lot happened for that. That's not even that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like as far like at least 11 football players received payment for work not performed between the spring of 21 and March of 22. So where are those payments coming from? Those are infractions, but it led to wins being taken away. Like that's if you're getting wins being taken away for that,
right?
Oh, what are you going to do when you're cheating the game that you actually would go on to win a national championship for?
Absolutely. What do you think is a fair punishment?
And I've had this asked before. I don't really care about the punishment. It's just the fact that I just want everything that was out there to be confirmed.
Right.
And it's being confirmed. You cheated. Because I'm not going to go to bed. Like if they take wins away, I'm not going to sleep. But I'm not losing sleep over it to begin with. I'm nauseous at the fact that these fans actually think that this was a hit piece. It's not a hit piece. This is what, like, a report on what you did is not a hit piece. You hit your own team. Your own team suspended Jim Harbaugh. They're so delusional and so crazy, Kev. Their players wore free Harbaugh shirts off the bus as if the NCAA did it to them when it was their own team that suspended them. These guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. To be like, Sharon Moore, I think deserves a punishment only because suspension, and any coach that's left, I think all the coaches that really played a role in that it left, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me a suspension is in order. It's a level. It's a second violation, so that's in order too. But it also needs to be
second one.
Yeah, second one.
Oh, okay. Repeat offender.
Yeah, repeat offender. And not our words, not our opinion. That's a fact as far as that's concerned. So I think a suspension for him. I don't think he should lose his job. I hope it's not a show. Look, the bottom line is I don't want the punishment to be too severe. I want Michigan to be good. That's what Michigan fans don't understand. Is as a Buckeye fan, I want them to be good. Remember, the reason I was down on the rivalry for so long is because it wasn't competitive and it was boring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to return to that. Back when it was a pure rivalry, not the tainted rivalry that you guys cheated to ruin. But in all seriousness, the Big Ten and college football and the rivalry, the game, Ohio State's better when they're better. So I want them to be good, but I also want them held accountable. I don't want this whole, oh, it wasn't that big a deal. It's a big deal. It is.
Yeah, I don't want them to take away from their national championship or take back games or whatever. I mean, that's pointless.
Popped off, by the way.
The biggest thing that I would say I would want would be recruiting restrictions. All right, you lost, I don't know, 10, 15 scholarships over the course of 3 to 4 years or something like that. That's how you really affect the program. That's how you really, suspending a head coach for, I don't know, the East Carolina game, Central Michigan game. Like what is good is that going to do? Like that does nothing. Now, Jim Harbaugh suspension for the back half of last season, obviously, and the game, it didn't affect them. They went out there and beat Ohio State. They won. So, kudos to their players. But the suspension to me is minor leagues. I would go into recruiting. Like, all right, and the fine is nothing as well. Like a fine to a university like Michigan, like they got that money in their back pocket.
Yeah, think of the money they used to pay him to go watch games.
How you truly affect a program, punish them, is by hitting them where it really hurts the recruiting. Like, hey, you have X amount of hours recruiting taken away from you. Now you have X amount of scholarships available to you. Like that's how you really smack a program on the wrist and really do them some type of, hey man, you shouldn't have did this. Now everybody else is going out there with 85 scholarship players. Now you're going out there with 65. Like this game is a war of attrition. And if you don't have that depth, then that's going to affect you on the football field.
Yeah, that or you asked me what punishment I'd like to see. Postseason ban too. Postseason ban. I'm not a big fan of the taking scholarships away. But again, everyone's being. The reason I just hate athletics is because guys that had nothing to do with this cheating scandal get punished.
Right. That's
what I don't like. All right, that's any punishment out there. I think it was cowardly of Harbaugh, who I was a fan of Harbaugh, the coach, not Michigan, but I was like, man, he's great for this rivalry. He's great for college football. I think he's a coward. I do. I think he left knowing what he was leaving. Like, who leaves a national championship team?
He didn't know he was leaving, man. He left for the right deal, man. What are you talking about?
I mean, I know Hurley Hurley won back-to-back, and Hurley was one of those that but Hurley wasn't avoiding any kind of scandal. You knew your face. Like, to me, a leader of men, a good leader would have said the NFL is going to be there no matter what year I leave.
Right.
There's a lot of mess that happened under my watch here. I probably need to come back for one more year and help clean this up, or at least show good faith that, hey, I'm not going to leave these guys to clean up the mess. That's all he did. That's weird to me. If he was Ohio State's coach and if Urban did that to Ohio State, I would be furious. And it's not what Urban did. Urban faced his, whatever. So we'll see what ends up happening. Shaw, I know you always have something to say. I know you're watching. Have you can't sit here and defend this. I mean, you kept saying, oh, you were mocking Kevin and I. Oh, I thought this was going to happen. I thought this, look, the NCAA, they don't care. You said nothing was going to happen. It looks like something's going to happen. You can call in at any moment to say we were right and that you were wrong. I mean, that's a common practice on the show.
A wise man once said, if I had a crystal ball.
Nonetheless. All right. USA Today college football, the USA Today coaches poll came out. Ohio State, where do they fall on this? Do we even care about the coaches poll? We'll get to all of that when we come back. NFL stuff around the corner. Jamar Chase, his hold-in continues. The Bengals lose a key piece on the defensive side of the ball for the season. How crucial of a loss is that? We'll get to that coming up in a moment. Plus, more Bengals camp takeaways. Browns AFC North content coming your way as well. More of the Kinner Kev Show next.
Zone.
And we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call to jump in on the conversation. We'll get to your phone calls coming up here in just a moment. For those watching live on the YouTube side or on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page as well, that's the On3 coaches poll right there that you were taking a look at. Ohio State coming in at number 2 behind Georgia. So Georgia coming in at number 1. Obviously, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, Alabama 5. I don't have there's nothing major about this. It's just nice to see these polls start to come out. The preseason polls coming out, kickoff. We're less than 3 weeks away from the official kickoff to the college football season. But Ohio State coming in at number 2. I don't think there's a surprise there. Georgia, Ohio State. I don't think anyone will argue that those are the top 2 teams in the country. Although the more and more as we get closer and closer, the one team I got to give a ton of credit. There's a lot of teams that have jumped into new conferences. I don't think any team has done a better job of letting the world know about it than Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon has done their best to try to let people know we're in the Big Ten now and we're coming for the top. And I think that, it's very cool to see that Texas is having their inaugural season in the SEC be right there. They're the second highest ranked Georgia team, second highest ranked SEC team in this first poll as far as that's concerned, the coaches poll. But Texas and Oregon both making noise early on for their conferences before the season kicks off.
Yeah, they're sending their mascot to other conference opponents, conference days and stuff like that, media days, personal media days. I saw the duck out at Nebraska's media day or whatever. They're doing good jobs on social media as well. Out of those 12 teams, obviously, because we now have the 12-team playoff, which I'm still curious to see how this whole situation works. Out of those 12 teams that are in there, which ones do you think will not be in the 12-team playoff?
Of the top 12, just in general?
Yes, the preseason top 12, which team won't make it?
And again, we sit here, look at this stuff, and it doesn't mean that these would be the exact 12, but just these are the top 12 teams in the country. So obviously these, there's a good chance that these are these 12 teams will all be in the mix, right? Again, the threshold is 3. The magic number is 3. 3 losses is the magic number. You cannot make the playoff with 3 losses. That's my guesstimation, if you will, as we head into this inaugural 12-team college football playoff season. You have your Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame. I think those 7 are a lock. Michigan, Penn State, Florida State, Missouri, and LSU. Those are your 12 teams in the top 12, right? Again, Michigan had to replace. So I'm going to take my dislike for Michigan off to the side. I'm just not sold on anything Michigan right now. You had a coach leave, scandals all around the program. There's drama with the program heading in. It's you're replacing a ton of NFL. It was a talented team last year, no doubt about it. Cheating or not, there was cheating. Cheating with talent is what Michigan was last. No, but they had the talent, right?
Right.
And they're replacing a ton of that talent right now. I just don't think it's a seamless transition. I know it's easier to make the 12 team than the 4. That's not a hot take, but I'd have to say of the top 12 teams, according at least to this USA Today coaches poll, of the top 12 teams that I think have the least shot of making the playoff, I'm going to roll with Michigan. I just think that they're trying to overcome a lot. I know they were, to their credit, it was a noisy season. I kept thinking last year that all the cheating and everything would be a distraction with all the drama and the news coverage around there. That was a Harbaugh-led team. Moore has to prove that he could do that, and I'm not sure if he can at this point because he's also the center of this investigation now. So I'm going to say Michigan, although Missouri's an interesting one. Missouri's getting a lot of love heading into this upcoming season.
I do agree with you about Michigan. I have a different team that I don't think will be in the top 12 when the season's over, but I have a slightly different take on Michigan. We talked about this going into last season where I was on the standpoint of I thought that all this chitter chatter and all this media reaction to everything that's around the Michigan program was going to galvanize them and push them to the national championship. And that's exactly what it did. And that's kudos to Coach Harbaugh for keeping the guys dialed in despite the stuff that he was getting involved with off the field.
Yep.
The players have no control over what the coaches are doing behind the scenes to ready them for the game. I'm sure some guys probably eventually figured out like, man, it's crazy. We just know all the calls all the time, man. These coaches are the best. But eventually, they still have to go out there and make the plays. But it's kind of like you said, they're replacing a ton of guys, not just you know, the McCarthys, not just the Blake Corums, but, you know, the linebackers, the D tackles, like they're missing a lot of guys. I know they got some guys coming back, some high level guys like Will Johnson is probably going to be the first cornerback taken in the NFL draft and all that type of stuff. But there's other guys that were not highly as touted, like a Roman Wilson. Nobody really talks about everything that he did for that program. You know, he sacrificed a lot. He could have went to bigger program, or not bigger programs. He could have went to other programs that would have thrown him the ball a lot more. And he was out there blocking his buttocks off. So like those small things, like guys like that, program guys that buy into the system. I'm not sure. Maybe our Michigan fans out there would tell us different. But like you said, they have replaced a lot. But the team that I don't think that's going to be able to make it is a team that I'm high on. But ultimately, I just don't think they're going to be able to make it. I think it's Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to miss out. You talked about that magic number being 3. I think they get to that 3-4 loss mark in the SEC this upcoming season. I mean, they got a gauntlet of a schedule. They always have a gauntlet of schedule because they are in the SEC West. So that means you have to play the LSUs of the world. You have to play the Bamas of the world every single year. So I just think they're going to get to that 4-loss mark a lot quicker than other teams out there. So I'm going to say Ole Miss will be the team that I don't think is going to make it this year.
Yeah, Missouri, another interesting one. I know people message in Missouri, but man, their schedule's pretty favorable.
Yeah, and they play in the East too.
Yeah, they play Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College the first 3 weeks or the first 3 games of the season.
Win.
Boston College, I'm sorry. So Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College 3-0. Vanderbilt 4-0.
Win.
Texas A&M at Texas A&M.
Win.
And then they play UMass.
Win.
Auburn.
Win.
At Alabama.
Loss.
And then at home against Oklahoma. At South Carolina.
Loss.
Oh, yeah.
Over under, baby.
And then at South Carolina, at Mississippi State versus Arkansas.
Went out.
That is a favorable SEC schedule. I don't know if there's 3 losses there. But then again, the reason they may not make the playoffs, though, is their 3rd loss could come in if they make it to the SEC championship game. That 3rd loss could come there. And again, I'm not saying Missouri's going to the SEC. I'm just saying like that 3 is the magic number. So Shaw put in at the bottom here, all 12 won't make it because the top non-Power 5 team makes it. He says Michigan, Missouri won't make the playoff. No, we know that all 12. We just said, look, all those top 12 teams will be in the mix for this. But of the which ones are we confident won't make it? I mean, he says Missouri and Michigan. Michigan, too. That Michigan plays a brutal schedule.
Yeah.
Brutal. They had that cupcake schedule last year, and now they're playing Texas, they're playing Ohio State, they're playing Oregon, they're playing everybody.
At least all those games are at home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean that's what we talked about. The season ticket holders, you may not have got your money's worth last year, but if you rolled over your season tickets this year, you're going to be rewarded because that's quite the home stretch. Texas, Oregon, and teams like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So on the flip side, looking at Ole Miss, they start the season firm. Win. Middle Tennessee State win. At Wake Forest win. Georgia Southern win. And then they finally start playing people. Kentucky probably a win. South Carolina win unless they got their playbook like they did Tennessee. Then they travel to LSU. Got the Sooners at home. Boom Sooner. At Arkansas, who should be better this year. Georgia, at Florida, at Mississippi State. I just think I see 3, potentially 4 losses right there.
It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. USA Today coaches poll came out. Ohio State 2, Georgia 1. Oregon comes in at 3, Texas 4, and Alabama 5. Is there a team that's ranked up there that kind of surprised you a bit? I mean, Alabama, not a big drop-off at all. They had a mass exodus of players,
right.
But it looks like the new coach able to bring – look, it's still Alabama. All right, I think that, it's the same thing when Krzyzewski left Duke. It was going to – I don't think it was going to be just a big fall off the cliff. I think that it's going to take a couple years to see the absence of Krzyzewski really impact Duke. And I think it's going to be the same thing with Nick Saban. You can make an argument that when Urban left Ohio State, that Ryan Day – people try to discredit Ryan Day. That's where the whole born on third base, little line came in. All this stuff. People act like, born on third base, act like they hit a triple like that because Ryan Day absorbed NFL talent left and right, absorbed so much talent from Urban Meyer. But look what Ryan Day's been able to continue to do out on the recruiting trail. I think it's going to take a while before us to really get a good feel of what DeBoer is going to do with Alabama.
I'm high on Kalen DeBoer as a head coach and a play caller and a developer of quarterbacks. Helped develop Michael Penix Jr. into a first-round pick to the Falcons. I'm looking for him to do the same with the Alabama quarterback room. Yes, Isaiah Bond left Bama to go to Texas, and he's a speed wide receiver, and look out for him to put up some crazy numbers this year at Texas. But, you know, I think he's going to be able to scheme a lot of things open, you know, for Bama. And I mean, like you just said, it's still Bama. Yes, they lost Caleb Downs. They lost Isaiah Bond. They lost the offensive lineman. Like they've lost their fair share of very, very, very high level talent. But guess what? They still got a whole bunch of high level talent. I'm still high on Bama. It's definitely this year.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. All right, we threw out the bat signal. He called. Shaw's on hold.
Ring my bell, bro.
Shaw's on hold. We'll get to Shaw's take on his cheating Michigan Wolverines coming up around the corner. We're gonna get into the Cincinnati Bengals here in a moment. Camp continues for the Cincinnati Bengals. They end up losing a key piece on the defensive side of the ball for the season. How much will that impact them moving forward? Also, no Jamar Chase once again. I mean, my goodness, how long will this sit-in last? I saw an interview last night where I think it was with the Good Morning Football with Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say? It was Zach Taylor. It was. What does it say about Jamar Chase, who's continuing to show up to camp, even though he's not participating? I'm here to tell you why it's not as much of a leadership move as you think it is. I'll tell you why when we come back. All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio 1410 Wing AM. Dayton's ESPN Radio 1410 Wing AM provides you with, well, a couple hours of local programming a day, every day from 1 to 6, whether it is off the bench from 1 to 3 or the Kinner and Kev Show at 3 o'clock. Sometimes off the bench goes into the Kinner and Kev Show, whatever it is. Again, 5 daily hours of local sports talk. We always love doing that. Again, things about to ramp up.
Yeah, man.
Camp's officially underway. We're going to have our Ohio State camp report coming up for you here at the top of hour number 3 coming up in a bit. We'll get to that momentarily as well. Getting to Cincinnati Reds talk here shortly as well. So
sweet.
I have a confession. I like the Olympics. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. I caught your podcast the other day. You guys were talking about just the different events you guys watch and stuff. You can't make this up podcast, by the way.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
But I was like, man, if I was asked that question, I'm going to watch the basketball because it's basketball.
Right.
But the Olympics just doesn't do anything for me. I don't know why everyone gets so jacked for it. I'm like, man, am I un-American? and I can't be the only one, or maybe I am. But am I the only one that the Olympics I just don't get super excited for? I don't know. It's not like I dislike it. It's not for me. Oh, man, what's our medal count? Oh, man, I got to get home and watch this event. Like, I feel bad. KB comes in. He's jacked. He wants to talk, gymnastics. He wants to talk all this stuff. I'm like, I can't help you, dude. I have nothing. Everyone, I'm just not – it's not like I dislike it. I'm just not huge on the Olympics.
Yeah, I like the Olympics. I can't necessarily say I love the Olympics. I really love the events that I watch on a regular basis. I watch track and field on a regular basis, like in the springtime. Like, I like track and field. I like to see people run very, very, very fast. The only Olympic sport that I watch that I don't tune into when it's on TV is gymnastics. I mean, Simone Biles is absolutely amazing. So hey, man, I want to witness greatness. I want to see what else she can do. Like, how many flips in the air can somebody that's 4'4" actually do? Apparently a whole bunch. I mean, she took home the silver today in the all-around floor exercise, won 3 other gold medals during her time there. What a great story. The last Olympics, she had the mental block and everything like that, the spinsies or whatever they're called. Then you got Sha'Carri Richardson bringing home the silver in the 100-meter dash.
I was very high on her coming in these Olympics.
Issue 2, baby. Everything's tomorrow.
Tuesday.
But I mean, the one thing that I do take away from the Olympics is, we talk about the cheating that goes on with the University of Michigan. We talk about, the cheating that goes on with the Houston Astros, all the problems with, professional sports. There's nothing more messed up than the Olympics. There's always something going on. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price was not allowed into the Olympics because she didn't go to the right gate. They changed the gate that she was supposed to go into overnight, and nobody told her. So, she decided not to run in the qualifying round because she is 38 years old. And if you're up there in age racing people that are literally half your age, you probably need to warm up. And Sha'Carri Richardson didn't warm up because she ran into the same issue. She actually did qualify for the final and got the silver medal. But it's always something going on in the Olympics. You can take it back to, back in the days where, the Team USA was playing Russia in the championship game and they put more time on the clock. It's just always weird stuff going on at the Olympics, man. But we always tune in every 4 years.
So do you follow the 3-on-3?
I did not.
Okay,
that wasn't
rules with that. Someone just asked real quick.
They're both out.
Roger said, what's up with the 3-on-3 basketball rules? I'm not really sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know Jimber Fredette was on the men's team. They've been eliminated from medal contention. The women's team is out of the gold medal contention. They can still get a bronze medal, but they hadn't been playing very well in pool play leading up to, the medal round. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the rules. Some of those, the 3-on-3s, how normally they have the live telecast and then they replay it in the evening on prime time and stuff like that. I'm not sure where they're showing the 3-on-3s. The regular basketball, the men's and women's is readily available for you to watch. I can't ever find the 3-on-3, and I guess I won't be watching the men's 3-on-3 because they're out of here.
Yeah, you see the Ice Cube.
Yes.
Is challenging. So Ice Cube runs the big 3.
Yes, sir.
Right? That goes Kentucky.
Yeah,
Louisville.
they were just in Cincinnati last weekend. Yeah, last Sunday.
Ice Cube did a hit on Chatterbox Bearcats or whatever.
Nice.
Which is kind of, at first I was like, he jumped on with that.
He's going to be in Columbus, or he was in Columbus at the Ohio State Fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it like performing?
Yeah, performance, yeah.
So Ice Cube is challenging the Olympic 3-versus-3 basketball gold medal winner to face the Big Three's best team in a $150,000 winner-take-all game in Boston on August 18th. And that's per the Big Three. So I thought that was interesting.
I think that's cool. I mean, shoot, you better be glad it's not the U.S. team, because they would get smoked by the guys at the Big Three. The Big Three guys need to represent Team USA, because whatever we just put out there was not good enough.
And the thing is, too, so Chad Kinster says, let me make sure people can read this 1 second, folks. But I think I know what he's about to refer to. He goes, look at the amount of money that the Olympics brings in globally, and all these athletes end up with their medals. If they even place, I personally think that's kind of messed up.
One more time.
So with as much money as the Olympics makes, he finds it odd that all you get are medals. Like, there's a lot of value to these medals. They work hard, blood, sweat, and tears for these medals. But again, I think we've over-romanticized these medals to the point to where in a world that is dominated by money, I'm surprised money never gets brought up. And it's expensive to be an Olympian, because a lot of it's your own money. You get sponsored and stuff which happens, and there's money-making opportunities that way. But yeah, I kind of see what he's saying. Chad's saying, hey, all this money is pumped into the Olympics. We want to talk about college. All this money is pumped into the NCAA, and the athletes up until recently, and technically still yet, have yet to get a dime of that. The Olympics, oh, by the way, thank you so much. Here's a gold medal.
I know in different countries, you earn different amounts. I know, like in the United States, I think per gold medal, you get like $40,000 per gold medal, and it's like $30,000 for silver. But like, think about it, like, wait, I get a $40,000 for one gold medal, but like the Olympics are every 4 years. Yep. So I train, I do all this, and actually win it, and I get $40,000. But like, that's to the point of, that's why winning is so important. Like, if you make this your livelihood, like to get the Wheatie box, to get the endorsements from Nike and Adidas and everything like that, to pay for your training and stuff like that, that speaks to the importance of it and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, the Olympics is, I won't say it's a corrupt organization, but it's not as nice and just, hey man, we're just out here for the competitiveness of everything. I mean, cities bid to have the Olympics. Like, the Olympics just don't show up. Like, they're being paid to show up. So in 4 years, when it's in Los Angeles, like, LA County has paid a lot of money for the Olympics to come out there.
Shout out to Jason Kinsey. Jason Kinsey tweets at 1410 Kennedy, goes, you are not alone on being basically oblivious with the Olympics. But I wanted to be clear, I'm not bashing the Olympics. Like, when it's all like, it was on the other day, but my wife's the same way. We're just like, she goes, oh, do you want to watch the Olympics? I'm like, not really. I thought you would want to. I'm like, I don't not want to.
I sports guy.
Yeah. I tell you what, I need a boss I like, Maybe it's you. I don't know. Maybe. Not made it sound like I don't like my boss. That's not true at all. But you know what I mean.
Oh, I know.
But nonetheless, but yeah. So the bottom line is I just don't get it. But I have friends that, they're jacked about this stuff. They're watching it nonstop, constantly sending on a group, our friends group chat, all these updates on the Olympics. I'm like, I don't care, guys. I don't care. I'd be like, if I'm texting you, did you see what happened at SummerSlam the other day?
Brother,
they hate wrestling. I'm gonna start blowing up their
there you go
with the wrestling stuff. So, did you watch SummerSlam?
I did not.
It was big
Huge
time. Roman Reigns came back. Just saying, he didn't get a gold medal though. he's not a winner as far as that's concerned. But all right, again, it's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. We opened up the show with, of course, the news that is right now circulating throughout all of college football. Michigan football coach Sharon Moore violated NCAA rules according to the draft that was handed, that somehow was leaked to ESPN. Right, that's the big thing. Not what's in the report, but how did ESPN get it? But new Michigan head coach Sharon Moore is one of 7 members of the 2023 football program accused of violating NCAA rules in a draft of the NCAA's notice of allegations, which was obtained by ESPN. The draft states that the texts that were arrayed, there's 52 text messages with former Michigan staffer Connor Stallions and Sharon Moore, but all those texts disappeared. Into the ether. Come to find out that Connor Stallions, that was him on the sideline. A member of the Michigan coaching staff was trying to be incognito over on the sideline of Central Michigan, scouting. And now there's various reports. Some say getting a scouting report for Michigan, but it was bringing what he knew about Michigan State to help Central Michigan win.
Weird.
And by the way, I know Central Michigan's not no one cares, but they could be in some mess too.
Yes, absolutely. How did he get on those sidelines?
Because
We gave him the garb, the hat, the sunglasses, the polo, looking like he's a part of the team when he's clearly not. So, absolutely.
But I never looked at it from that perspective. I was under the impression he was there just for a closer look at Michigan State. I don't know, but no, I didn't think about it. You talked about the rumors allegedly going around at that South Carolina-Tennessee game, that Tennessee got the blueprint to the Tennessee success. Tennessee just magically disappeared one night.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, who was okay that year, not great, but okay. They jumped on every turn of Tennessee, and it's speculated that they got the report from Connor Stallions is really, really good at what he does.
Absolutely.
Let's be clear. There's a reason that they bent over backwards to do this stuff, is because it worked. It worked, and I'm not saying that that's why they won, but it gave them a definite competitive advantage. And we can't say that it didn't help them win. You talked about that record. They didn't magically just be average to bad for 3 or 4 years and then magically just elite. You could say, well, look, if you look at Dabo Swinney, Dabo was just average, and then boom. Do we think that that's what happened with Michigan? Do we think that that's what happened? And by the way, those players again, I've said this a million times. Michigan was really, really good. They had really, really good players. J.J. McCarthy drives me nuts. All right. He drives me absolutely insane. But man, that was a good college quarterback. A very, very good college quarterback. Two of the best running backs in college football. The offensive line. the Bengals would kill for that offensive line, and they got a pretty good O-line now. So I'm not bashing the Michigan talent. That to me is why I'm just mocking even more.
They couldn't coach the talent up.
So and that's it's not a surprise that record, it was 49-26 or whatever it was that you talked about, and then to go 40-9 the rest of the way. 40-3. That's not just a casual
49-26, 40-3 the rest of the way.
So here's what's going to happen now. I'm going to turn my mic off, and I'm going to let Kev direct the final couple moments of this part of the show. I'm going to let you introduce the next guy. I might talk to him at the end of this conversation, but I'm not going to interrupt him. I'm going to let him spew whatever he wants to spew. I'm going to let him say whatever he wants.
As long as you got your finger on the dump button.
Oh, he gets a little loose.
You've been warned.
Yeah. He foul-tipped one the other day, Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But I'm going to turn my mic off. Kev, I'm going to let you set this up. I'm going to let you introduce our next guest, if that's what you want to call him. But I'm sitting this one out because I already know if you will entertain me for a second.
Go for it.
You need this to be true. That's what he's going to say. He's going to say a lot of things. You need this to be true.
Everybody's doing it.
Allegedly, this is a hit piece that God praised to Harbaugh. He's going to say a lot of crazy things, but I'm going to let him say all the crazy stuff. I'm not going to say a word. So my mic is officially off. Captain,
they can't hear you.
Take it from here.
All right. On the phone lines right now, our Michigan aficionado, our Michigan know-it-all, our Michigan superfan, Mr. David Shaw. The floor is yours.
What's up, Kev?
What's happening?
I'm actually glad it's happening this way. It takes me back to November when we were sitting inside a firehouse, and you and I were supposed to be having a conversation one-on-one on the air, and the same, we'll call him guy, turned off his mic that day and wound up interrupting the conversation. So I'm quite certain that's what's going to happen this time too. But I digress. Anyhow, let's get this straight. First off, and foremost, since day one of this coming out last October, the other guy, we'll call him, has taken my what I've said on these airways, and you can go back, and you guys do it all the time, and go back to listen to our phone calls and mock them and yada, yada, yada. So go back and actually listen to them and actually hear what I said and not assume what I said and not make fun what I said. Now, to give the other guy a little bit of credit, he he took some of the things I said and he's ran with them. Yeah, I did say bet. Yeah, I did say let the investigation play out. That was for more my purpose than it was yours. And you guys ran with it and made it sound like I wasn't going to even talk about it ever. No, I was letting the investigation play out. You know, kind of like that report came out yesterday and ruined everybody's Sunday. Well, Michigan fan Sunday, and it made some other fans happy Sunday. But about the report, when you break it down, what did we actually learn that we didn't already know?
Nothing.
Really nothing.
But I don't think that was from my perspective, that wasn't the point. My perspective is like now it's officially on wax that, hey, that was Connor Stallions on the sidelines of Central Michigan with a fake mustache and a hat. Yeah, absolutely. But now like that it's confirmed, even though like we didn't need that confirmation. We all saw him. We all know what he looks like now. You know, like some people out there, well, you prove it. And now the proof's in the pudding is him.
Okay. And it does absolutely nothing. But if you want to go into actually the report and actually look at the report for what it says and not just what the headline says. So they took 52 text messages. So Sharon Moore deleted 52 text messages, correct?
Yes. That's what's in the report.
But then in the very next sentence, we actually got those text messages from Sharon Moore.
Yeah, because they had to turn them over, had to go pay money to get those retrieved.
No, Sharon Moore gave those.
Yes. Yeah, to give them up.
Okay.
So if you had to,
so he's not
initially deleted to try to,
so
I'm assume hide it.
Let me get this straight. Now where I will meet you halfway, Kev, where I will meet you halfway is I do agree. Sharon Moore needs to answer the question, why did you delete those text messages? I agree with that.
Right.
But here's my problem though. Here's my problem. They took 52 text messages. They got them. They read over them. And the worst they could come with was a level 2.
I mean,
if they were so bad, Kev, why isn't it a level 1?
Well, I mean, you can only charge for what's there. You can only charge for what's there. Like, you can't just like, all right, make up something like, well, he said this, and we believe that it's this bad.
The way this is getting portrayed was this is horrible. The way this is getting portrayed, this is 52 text messages with the Connor Stallions, the devil himself.
So let me ask you this then.
So if he's in communication and he's so close to the coaching staff and he's so close to Jim Harbaugh, like it has to go up the ladder and there has to be proof of it. And they stole computer drives and they did all this and all of these massive little schemes.
So you still think this is a nothing burger? You still think this is nothing? You still think?
No, I don't think it's nothing. I never have thought it was nothing. Those were words put into someone's mouth, and then he ran with them and acted like that's the way it was.
So
I have never once said on these airways or through a text message or on Facebook that this was nothing. Never once.
So what is it then?
I think it's something. I think it is something. Now, if I can meet you halfway, can you meet me halfway?
I'll try.
Okay. So we can call it cheating. We can call it whatever the bleep we want to call it.
Careful.
What advantage did it really give?
Come on, Shaw. Come on, man.
What advantage did it really give?
Come on, man.
What advantage did it really give?
You tell me.
No, you all tell me because it doesn't make any sense. This is what doesn't make sense.
If I know what you're doing,
if you all wanted it to be, if it was as bad as you all wanted it to be, they'd have never been able to play last year.
I think it kind of was like
not suspend coaches. They wouldn't have been able to play.
Then why even do it? If it's a nothing burger, if it's like, oh, it really didn't give them an advantage, then why were they doing it?
That's the question I don't have an answer to.
So apparently it did, because the proof is in the numbers. The proof is in the numbers from his wins and loss record from the 49-26 to the 40-3.
So every program that has ever improved, we can go back and we're just going to say, oh, they had to do something.
No, I'm saying is there's a line of demarcation. Like there's a clear spike.
There's always a line of demarcation, Kev.
There's a spike, but there's a
sucked at one point, and then your program completely turned and you got better at another point.
Yes, like we can go back to okay, like all right, to Coach Venables showing up at Clemson, like okay, and Clemson has not been the same since he left. So like that's the line of demarcation.
So they must have cheated then.
Nobody said that. I'm saying is that Connor Stallions shows up, you go 40-3, and he's been cheating.
What if I told you Connor Stallions was on the sideline in 2019?
I wouldn't know that. I would say okay.
Funny. I wonder why you don't know that.
Because I'm not a Michigan fan.
Because it fits a narrative that it happened after COVID. It fits the narrative. It brings everything together. If we take it all the way
according to the article, that's like when he became on staff.
He was a part of the program since 2019.
And they say that all this this cheating started, when he became a part of the staff. So maybe he was on the sidelines hanging out, like he was hanging out at Central Michigan, and then he came with this manifesto, and then magically, like these super elite players started playing like they're super elite.
It had nothing to do with training. It had nothing to do with how they got better, improved their actual skill, even though 18 of them just got drafted in the NFL.
We said that. We said that the team was super talented. We said the team was super talented.
So then what is it, man?
So no, you tell me what it is. You're the one saying like, well, it's something, but it ain't as big as we wanted to make it out to be.
This is what I see. I see dudes on every team standing on the sideline holding boards.
We're not talking about those. Those teams aren't under fire right now. Those teams aren't the one with these allegations and the NCAA updated butt. We're talking about what they did, what the University of Michigan football program did. And not only the football program did, the whole university covered it up because they had a chance to finally win the national championship since 1997. And they was like, forget that, man. We close. We're going all in. We're putting all our chips in. I tell you this. I'll also tell you this. This is where I'll meet you halfway. It is after like everything's like started to come out, and I'm sure other coaches knew or had an inkling before all this stuff came out because the coaching world is very small. So I'm sure they knew. I do believe that it is up to the other teams to change their signals and to hide their signals once like all this stuff is out there to the general public. Like, hey, man, y'all heard Michigan, man, they be stealing signs, or they been at practice stealing signs, or they've been doing this. Hey, man, we got to switch stuff up. I'll meet you halfway there because I'll tell you another story. When Florida State played Auburn in the national championship game, in the first half, miraculously, Florida State could not move the ball. Well, good old Jimbo Fisher, his former quarterback coach, was the quarterback coach at Auburn, and good old Jimbo Fisher decided not to change up his play calls, and he's sitting right next to the DC calling out every single signal that Jimbo's calling, and Florida State can't move the ball. The Heisman Trophy winner can't move the ball, and Jameis Winston. They put up some towels, magically, they're scoring that wheel in the second half. So that's where I'll meet you. The other team has the responsibility not only to their team, their players, their fan base, and their own coaching situation to, hey, man, whatever it takes, however long it takes, we got to switch up our signals because they're stealing them. So that's where I'll meet you halfway. All this other stuff, they cheated, bruh. But it's fine. It is what it is. The games were played.
Since Pee Wee football. It happens in every division of football since Pee Wee.
Everybody's not doing this, man.
I will get you. Connor Stallions is the problem. Now,
so where does that go to the top though? Like, you mean to tell me that Jim Harbaugh didn't know this was going on? If he did, he was there when it was going on. If
they're now, they can't do anything to him.
But I'm saying, but he was there when it happened.
You all are blowing like, come on, man. Seriously.
No, what's happening here is you won the national championship. You want to feel good about it, and you don't feel good about it. That's
No,
what it
that's
is.
not what's happening
You
here.
don't
That's
feel
not.
good about
That's
it. You
not.
feel embarrassed, but you won't.
I
You
feel
you
embarrassed.
you feel embarrassed that your program had to stoop to this level to win a national championship, and it feels icky. But at
You
the
might
same
wanna come
time,
over to my house and see how many flags I have.
you like, man, we finally got we won. We got one. We won. I'm happy, but it still feels weird, and that's fine.
No, you got it all wrong.
I felt weird when Jordan pushed off in the finals that time. I felt weird. I got over it.
Did they call it?
It was an offensive foul.
Did they call it?
No, because it's Michael Jordan.
Then it wasn't a foul.
Well, they definitely called a foul on Michigan.
Was JT short?
So you think. So you think. This wasn't even the notice of allegations. This was a report to let them know what it could be. This isn't the final say.
You said there was nothing gonna happen.
Over until 2020.
You about 2-3 weeks ago, you was laughing at us talking about like there's nothing gonna happen. Where's the big bad NCAA?
Okay, so
now that the big bad NCAA comes down and has this,
NCAA, they have no power, man.
That's correct. They don't have any power. You are 100% correct. You are.
What are they gonna do?
They really can't do anything. They really can't do anything because at the end of the day, this whole situation is run by TV networks. And if they want Michigan in there,
the last 9 months, the three of us have lost our mind over this single time.
I ain't lost my mind. You the one going buck the noodles over here. I've been accepted it. I accepted it. Hey man, they won. It is what it is. You can't do anything about it now. I mean, I've been playing video games for a very, 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 very long time. When somebody nudges the good old Nintendo when you're up, it is what it is. And that's what happened. Did Michigan nudge the Nintendo when they cut off in their favor?
Here's the thing that this befuddles me in the whole thing. And this is the realest thing I've said in 9 months about this topic. You can take this to the bank. Here's the part of it I don't understand. And this is on both parties. This is on Michigan's side. This is on the Ohio State, Michigan State side. What I don't understand is how nobody on either side can just come to the middle on just the bottom facts of this entire thing. You can never talk to an Ohio State fan and tell them anything other than the fact that it's cheating.
It was.
And you can't talk to a Michigan fan and come up with any other thing than it never happened. I sat here at the beginning of this conversation and tried to meet you halfway on every single point, but it wasn't good enough. You want this to come out that Michigan they'll just open the heavens and then it's going to come out that yes, you're right. You got us dead to rights.
Wait. I definitely said it is what it is. I definitely said it is what it is. They won. I'm not sure.
Michigan to do.
What do you want? What do you want the college fan base? Because it's not just Ohio State fans. It's not just Michigan State fans.
No, actually that's false.
So nobody else in college football is like, hey man, they cheated.
Michigan State driving this. That's why it gets drawn up right before Big Ten. Anything Big Ten every.
That's how media works all the time. Whenever there's the beginning of a conference or the sport, that's when.
Did you know anything about the Tennessee stuff? Did you know anything?
When did the stuff happen? When did the stuff come out about Urban Meyer? When he entered his final year, right at Big Ten Media Days. That's when it always happens. I'm not Nostradamus here. I don't have a crystal ball. That's just how the cycle works.
Let's bring this one up. First off, that wasn't ESPN that asked the question. That was a Columbus Dispatch guy that asked the question. That was your internal.
It was the Athletic, and it was Brett McMurphy.
These two circumstances have nothing to do with each other.
I don't care who breaks. I'm not talking about who breaks it. I'm talking about when the news comes out. That's always when the news comes out.
That you're forgetting, Kev. When there's an investigation going on, no one's supposed to be talking. But yet we're only finding out things from the NCAA side. And
you wonder why? Because Connor Stallions is out here about to do a documentary with Netflix rubbing his nose in it. Of course they're going to get ticked off.
He's not a part of the program, Kev.
But he was a part of the program. He is a part of the program.
It doesn't matter.
He's going to get a statue.
It doesn't matter. No, you all keep hanging on that. Well, he was a part of the program. He's not now.
He's the key. He's the link. He's the link to it.
Why do you think no sanctions have came down? Why do you think the notice of allegations hasn't been sent to Michigan? Because they can't tie anything because they have no subpoena power. They're not Congress.
Correct. They never do, but they can.
So if
they
I'm
can.
Jim Harbaugh, I'm going to turn over my stuff now? No, dude. No. If I'm the other fired coaches from Michigan, I'm going to turn over my stuff now?
No, of course not. Of course not. But what the NCAA what they can do is make you look bad in the court of public opinion, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Until we start playing football and we start winning games again.
I mean, if you win some games this year.
I just hung up on him. He done.
He wilding today, bro. He wilding. Meet him halfway. Kinner. I mean, I'm not here to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I think I'm a pretty open-minded person, and not just in sports, but in all things in life. I've been accepted the fact that they won the national championship. They beat Ohio State 3 years in a row. I've been said, like, it is what it is, but, you still cheated. You still cheated. The evidence, the proof is in the pudding. So expecting people just to, we cheated, just move on. No, that's not how this works. We talk about the White Sox way back in 1919 or whatever the heck it was. We talk about Tom Brady with the Flakegate. We talk about the Astros. We talk about the Patriots and taping folks. This is important. When you cheat, you got to deal with the consequences. You cheated, so you got to deal with it, or tune into the other show.
I mean, that I was really fascinated by how he was going to spin that. But the thing is, if someone said, Justin, will you summarize what his take is? I don't even know.
You might have to replay that tomorrow.
He just yelling to yell, because the bottom line is he wants us to meet. There's really nothing to meet halfway on.
That's what I was about to ask you. Where does that, what do you talk about halfway? What does that mean?
Well, he kept saying, I didn't say anything on this. I wanted to let the facts come out first. But you had a whole lot to say before the facts come out. And then when the facts come out, you say, well, where are the sanctions then? First of all, this report is what ESPN got a hold of was the findings of the report. So
right
now, and we just heard Pete Thamel earlier on in the show when he was on the Pat McAfee show. We played that clip. He basically told Pat McAfee right now, this is what the report, or this is what the investigation found. And now they're trying to basically work out a deal.
Mm-hmm.
What is that punishment going to be? So the NCAA has probably already let them know what their punishment's going to be, and now they have a chance to counter it, or not counter it, but like appeal, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It will not impact them this season. It'll probably be a next off season type of thing, unless they want to self-impose another suspension for a coach.
Then it's going to go into another news cycle.
Yep.
My advice would just try to get this over with. So if it's a lengthy suspension for Coach Moore, some penalties and recruiting and stuff like that, just get it over with so you can actually move on to the next phase of the program. Because like he talked about, most of those coaches are gone. Obviously, Harbaugh's in the NFL. The linchpin to this is Connor Stallions. He's no longer a part of the program. You're better off. Obviously, you won your national championship. Let's take this hit now, and then in a year or two, we can just move forward. Because you're not going to take the national championship. You're not going to take the memories away from people. So it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, the pattern of non-compliance within the football program was cited multiple times in this report. Seriously undermined or threatened the integrity of the NCAA collegiate model. That's also in this report. Keep in mind that there were actual drives that were given to players outside of just the home of Connor. So like the stuff that was taken off his computer, there are copies of stuff that was given to other players in case they got caught, in case it was insurance. Like that's not an opinion. That's what's also in this. Like that's not like up for debate at this point. Like this isn't Kinner and Kev making stuff up, or this isn't our opinion. They gave chips to current players and staff members, which is why Shaw's also mad, because I kept saying when he would call in and do his thing, basically say that Connor Stallions got let go at the beginning of the season. He wasn't around for when they played Penn State and Ohio State and Alabama, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you think just because they cut the head off the snake that's where the cheating stopped? You don't think that all the work that they put in, you think it just vanished with them?
Right.
It didn't vanish with them. All the work that was put into getting the reports on those teams and programs was on that drive.
Right.
And multiple drives were given to multiple players. And by the way, Shaw, that's not opinion. It's in that report. That report states that current players and staff members were given those chips that had all the information on it, including, and you really want to act like Ohio State wasn't the team on that drive. You mean to tell me that it was Maryland You mean to tell me that Rutgers was the team that they needed to have every advantage for? No, we know who was on that damn drive. You want us to be? I think we met you more than halfway by talking about how that team was talented enough to win the national championship on their own. It just made them more pathetic for doing what that they did. And I have no, and Kev, you nailed it right. You nailed it perfectly. I've been telling Shaw that every time he's called in the last couple of weeks when you weren't here. You're mad because instead of celebrating your national every time you think of your national championship, all you're going to think about is this. That's why you're mad.
Yeah.
And then you're right.
I will be mad too.
Yeah. And by the way,
don't be mad at us. Be mad at them for doing it.
And me and you, we would sympathize with them. Like, yeah, that stinks. That would suck that your team finally has that great season you've been clamoring for.
And you can't even celebrate it fully. You got to continually defend yourself from the quote unquote haters, the Michigan States and Ohio States. No, dude, they cheated. Now, Rich Eisen, who works for the NFL Network, he has a show. I listen to it from time to time or catch clips on YouTube. He's like, yeah, man, it's fishy. It's fishy. But you know what? We won, and I'm gonna be happy. I respect that. Like, hey, man, yeah, it's a little soggy. But guess what? 1997 is a long time ago, and I'm gonna be happy about this.
And then Shaw just writes into on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Again, that's not what I said. What did you say? Because you know what Kev told me during the commercial break? He said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you just let him talk? I said, okay, I'll let him talk. I let him talk that whole time. I kind of got chirpy at the end. But overall, him and I never really communicated. So whether I'm interrupting him or not, he just spews a lot of nonsense. I mean, and that was Kev. Someone also just said, Ryan said, only Shaw can get Kev this irritated.
So tomorrow we're going to replay that. And I'm going to take notes. Matter of fact, send me the audio tonight. And I'm going to re-listen to it when I go for my walk. And I'm going to try to figure out what the hell he was talking about.
I don't get it. They again, and he keeps saying, do you really think that this helped them win? My counter to that always, Kev, is then why do it? Why do it?
That's like saying, hey, man, I got math formulas written down on a piece of paper and I got 100% on the test. You think it didn't help me?
Yeah.
I got the formulas. I better get it right. You got the answers to the test. You better get it right.
When you have a team like Michigan that has really, really good players going up against Ohio State, who has really, really good players, and the team with really, really good players in Michigan's side knows what the other, so that both teams, the talent cancels out.
Right.
So the only thing that's left is coaching. And Harbaugh may be a better coach than Ryan Day. Maybe. Okay. But when you give,
As of right now, yes, he is.
If all things are created equal from the physicality and the talent standpoint, then what is going to give you that competitive advantage? We all know what gave Michigan that competitive advantage. And there were enough examples in these reports too to go on to show that they didn't scout TCU.
TCU. Yes, I'm glad you said that.
Now, their talent scored all over TCU the way that Georgia ran all over TCU. I think that talent, but they thought that they were jumping the gun. So they got exposed when they didn't know what was coming. They got so used to knowing what was coming that when they didn't know what was coming, that you kind of killed the instinct out of that Michigan football program because they were so used to what was coming. Now you could say scouting. They scouted. They cheated. They cheated. It's as simple as that. This isn't an opinion, Shaw. I expected better. I expected telling me and Kev that we didn't meet you halfway is insane. That is just wow.
Oh man,
I want to listen to that again. I'm going to take notes too.
Absolutely.
We're going to dissect that whole tomorrow's show. Just dissecting that whole thing.
Absolutely. It's been one heck of a show. One heck of a return for me. I'll tell you that. Glad to be back. And speaking of being back, shouts out to Carmen's crew, TBT winners.
Yeah. How about Mr.
Sully?
Sullinger?
So, as I'm prone to do, I like to be honest. I didn't think they had a chance in Hades of winning the whole TBT after what I saw in the game versus Red Scare, yeah. But they did it. Shouts out to Carmen's crew. OH, baby.
That was an ugly game when they played Dayton's alumni team. Oof, that was not that was brutal. Shaw says, "Oh, he's as long as you let me call about it."
Oh gosh.
Someone messaged in, "What does Shaw look like? I've never met him." Well, if you're watching, Go ahead, take a look. Here you go. You guys ready for this? you guys ready? There you go. Right there. There it is. Right there. That's
That's a good one. That's funny.
So there you go. I knew when he did that day, I was like, oh, this Sherrone Moore, man, that was the worst thing you could have done in that post game. Worst thing. Because guys like me will use that against you forever.
Forever, ever.
Chad Kinster said Carmen's crew had Stallions on the bench. David Shaw said national champions. Yeah, Barry Bonds is a home run champion. And that's the thing, too. Shaw will probably lie and say that he is the home run, but I guarantee you a year ago, if I would have asked him, is Barry Bonds a home run champion? No, big time asterisk. He cheated. But now, well, how much of the steroids actually help him? Kinner Kev 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast says partly cloudy, 72 tonight. Chance of thunderstorms and 90 tomorrow. Wednesday, mostly sunny and a high of 83. I'm Rich Rent for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Cap.
Are we sure the dispensaries didn't open today?
Ooh-wee. I mean, issue two.
There has to be something floating around. I mean, there probably is. I mean,
Yeah, or people making that trip up to Michigan or Illinois.
Michigan a couple times a week.
I know somebody that does. Little mule.
So I don't know. So yeah, quick question. What did you say that Rich Eisen said on the show?
Rich Eisen basically on his program, like, yeah, it's a little fishy, a little wonky, a little weird, little feeling. But guess what? 1997 was a long time ago. That's the last time we won a national champion. And I'm not about to apologize for my school winning, my team winning. I'm going to be happy.
So Shaw says, I've said the same thing, but that wasn't good enough. When Rich Eisen says it, it's fine.
Where did you say that? Because you have not said that on this program. You've definitely not said that on our show. Maybe I was off that day. Did he say it last week when I wasn't here?
No.
Because
I let you listen to what he said the last time.
Oh yeah, I don't miss a lot. Did he say it when I was in Puerto Rico?
Yeah. Oh no, not that.
Did he say it when I went home for Mother's Day?
Everything. No, he would call in and just basically get mad, saying that nobody cares, no one's talking about it. That's what he said. And he's gonna say I'm putting words in his mouth. No, Kev. He said that I'm the only one talking about it. Let it go. Ohio soft. All that childish stuff.
Man, look. Maybe you said it to another radio show. Maybe you said it on a podcast. Maybe you said it in the group chat, and we just didn't see it. I surely don't remember you saying that.
No, not even a little. And the other thing too that he kept saying was, "You need that to be true."
I do remember that.
That's always my favorite one.
You want it to be true.
Hey, Michigan cheated. You need that to be true. Like, we need it to be true because that would make us feel better about the loss to Michigan. The bottom line is we've been very critical of Ohio State on this show.
Absolutely.
Of having to beat Michigan. But I do know this. I feel a little better kind of understanding that the reason Ohio State lost, it wasn't all on Ryan Day. But like, that's the thing too. Like, that's the thing about those cheating attempts is like, it really messes with some people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ryan Day could have lost his job, not because he wasn't able to beat Michigan. It's because you guys cheated. Like, that would tick me. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's morally messed up. And speaking of morals, speaking of people without morals, how about Jim Harbaugh?
Oh boy.
Jim Harbaugh, and this is according to On3. First, I should know that every time Harbaugh quotes anything, I'm always like, that's not a real quote. But no, every time with him it is. So Jim Harbaugh on reported NCAA notice of allegations for Michigan. He was asked at the Chargers camp today. Here's what he said. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware nor complicit in those said allegations. So far, it's back to work and attacking with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. What a weirdo. That was Harbaugh from earlier today. Folks, he's weird. Everyone but he acting like what has happened? Like, he's a coward. He's watching Sherrone Moore, and I don't know what he's supposed to say, but probably like, hey, I'm not going to comment on that. My only focus is the Chargers. I would still be like, oh, okay, buddy. But if I'm Sherrone Moore, I'm pissed off too. I'm like, hold on. Sherrone's probably like, you knew. What are you talking? Unless some of that NFL salary is going down to Sherrone Moore to be like, hey, keep me out of this. Very weird.
Definitely weird.
Anyways, how about your Steelers?
Hey,
Brendan Ayuk there's reports out that the Steelers and the San Francisco 49ers are very close to getting a deal done. Over the weekend, it said the two teams that were the closest to getting a deal done, the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Brendan Ayuk might join what is a loaded wide receiver class in the AFC North.
Yeah, for me, I just don't buy it. I don't see this happening. For multiple reasons. Mainly because from the San Francisco 49ers perspective, they've been one of the smartest organizations since inception of football, basically. I don't understand why you would trade him and keep Deebo Samuels. Deebo is older than Brandon Ayuk. Deebo is more banged up than Brandon Ayuk. You just gave Deebo a contract. You can trade Deebo, then re-sign the younger wide receiver. And I just think that would be a better play for them. And as from the Pittsburgh Steelers perspective, that'd be probably like, he's looking for like a $30 million contract. Granted, we're not paying our quarterback room anything right now. So I guess money wise, it will work out. Would be nice to have a high price offensive player for a change. But I just see it from the San Francisco 49ers perspective. I don't see them trading him. I see them working out a situation with him and getting rid of Debo.
Normally, I'd agree. It's just every week there's just some heavy reports coming out that they are close to a deal with the teams. This is the second go round of rumors with the Browns. That during the holdout with Amari Cooper,
right? I remember that.
Ayuk was being talked about as far as a sign and trade with Amari Cooper to make that happen, and then it kind of went away. And then over the weekend, it was oh man, the Browns are actually really kicking the tires on this, that they are close to getting it done. I'm gonna say the same thing because people think I'm beating up on the Bengals all the time. I'm gonna say the same thing about the Browns. I don't know how you could afford a $30 million a year wide receiver and a 55 and a I guess $50 million a year quarterback. I mean, I know what the Dolphins are doing right now with Tua, and they reworked the deal with Tyreek Hill and obviously Jalen Waddle. I just don't see how the Browns do that at the expense of other key positions. So I don't know. Like, I don't think that the Browns will not get Brandon Ayuk. But the fact that this is twice now that they have come out and Mary Kay Cabot came out and said she's the one reporting on this.
Right.
That's why I believe that. So to go back to your point, it's not so much about whether the Steelers will get him. It's about whether you think he'll be moved at all. The fact that Mary Kay Cabot, who's very locked in, this isn't just some random NFL insider that might be here. This is a locked in local reporter that has ins with the Cleveland Browns. She's more reporting that the Browns are negotiating a potential deal to get him. That's what I find the most fascinating, is that they were in the mix. The Steelers being in the mix, they make a lot more sense than the Browns because you have the cap space to do it.
Right.
You don't have a quarterback, but you have two quarterbacks that don't even equal a fraction of what the Browns and the Bengals and Ravens are paying their quarterback at this point. So
yeah, I just John Lynch has been making power moves outside of the Trey Lance situation since he's been with the 49ers. You know, the deal to get McCaffrey. I mean, shoot, even the situation to get Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, and, you know, to have the gumption to replace Trey Lance with him and get something for Trey Lance by trading him to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't see John Lynch making this happen or doing this deal. I just don't. The Steelers will have to blow them away with compensation. And that compensation is obviously going to have to be a first-round pick and potentially multiple first-round picks.
The other thing to think about, too, why would the Niners do this? The Niners have already done something that's very unconventional, and that is drop $20 million on a running back.
Right.
So that's the other thing. They're going to make Purdy the highest paid quarterback in the league next year. You have the highest paid running back in the league, and then you would have to have one of the highest paid wide receivers. They can't do that. So I think it's between Christian McCaffrey and Ayuk. And I think that they're confident that they can get another wide receiver as dynamic as that easier than they can another running back as dynamic as Christian McCaffrey. That's the only running back. I would have given an eyebrow to the Browns had they paid Nick Chubb that much money. I didn't really give an eyebrow to the Niners for doing that with Christian McCaffrey because he's more than just a running back. I mean, and Nick Chubb's been more than just a running back to the Browns, but like that's how dominant Christian McCaffrey has been. I just think that their dynamic's different than everybody else's. I can't compare what they do to anyone else because they did their model different with all the money that they put into the running back room. So it could be that if they didn't have all the money into Christian McCaffrey and were looking to move Ayuk, I'd be with you. But because they put all that money in Ayuk and Debo takes up a good chunk of that, and they have George Kittle too.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing, it's like I think they could afford to move on from Ayuk. They don't want to, but they could afford to. Some teams, we need Ayuk. Like the Browns needed Amari Cooper. They didn't have a choice but to get something done. I think the Niners are like, well, if we have Kittle, we have Christian McCaffrey, we have Debo, we think we have our quarterback. You know, obviously if you're loaded offensive line, defense is great. And now we can get more draft picks and just keep plugging the gaps with these top draft picks. I think that's why they could move on from Ayuk if his value is that high. The thing is, the Steelers, the reason I'm starting to pay attention to them, they're only doing this if they like what they've seen from their quarterback room. I don't think they're looking to blow up any of their draft picks or anything.
Right.
I don't think they're looking to give up anything of key substance if they're kind of scratching their head on Justin Fields or Russell Wilson.
Well, shoot, Fields has been taking all the first team reps because Russ is hurt.
Yep.
My question for you is, by the time we do this show next, will this deal be done?
I mean, it sounds like 2 hours ago, it said that they were very close to getting a deal done.
And that's the crazy thing about it. Obviously that's coming from a real Twitter site, but I mean, you like a post or read a post and then now you get flooded with other stuff. So, I mean, I don't know what's real, like, or what's photoshopped of him with the deuces up to California on his Instagram, or him actually in Pittsburgh right now. I have no idea. So like, that's why I'm trying to like cycle off of here so I don't get duped or anything like that. Or like, oh, it happened. All right, man, let's do this. Let me get my 11 jersey. Like I'm waiting for the official to come down from, the big wigs over there at ESPN. They break news over there at ESPN.
Well, I want to know how they're getting this information. I want to know how they're getting. I mean, I feel like they're leaking this info. I want to know who's leaking this information. I want to know where Lou Holtz is right now. Well, anyways. Aye. Step away for a few moments. When we come back, the Browns lose a key player that was carted off the field today. Key injuries around the Bengals in their camp. They lose another player today, too, which is key. Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork had some interesting comments about, some money-making opportunities as far as that's concerned.
Get them coins, bro.
So we'll get to that coming up around the corner as well. We got some NFL stuff coming up. I saw that somebody asked Jeremiah Bennett, have we talked Reds yet? What is sad is that, he goes on to, have we talked Reds yet? Goes right back to Michigan. What is sad is that Michigan cheated and they were better than Ohio State anyways. Clearly a tougher team. It pains me to say that.
Definitely were a better team last year. Without a doubt.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
And Ohio State still had a chance in a close game like
that.
Right.
In a rivalry game, a quote unquote lesser team, which I thought Ohio State was, they had a chance. They were right there. You know what I'm saying? But, they lost. Michigan won, then went on to win the national championship.
Kinner Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Let's talk some NFL when we come back. Haven't got your thoughts on Jamar Chase's hold-in. We'll get to that coming up around the corner. Browns lose a key player in practice today. The Bengals lose a couple, including one for the season. We'll talk about that. A lot more NFL coming your way. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody. Happy Monday. Just an update. Shaw did not call in to say he was wrong and apologize. So. Continues to be wrong. It's okay. It's okay. But no, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Someone said earlier, no Reds talk. We'll get to the Reds coming up in a moment. I do want to emphasize, I am working 2 shows right now. There has been some changes to the station gradually over the last month or two, and we're obviously getting prepared. We're getting prepared for the football season. Kinner and Kev Show is staying put. Okay, it's staying put. It'll be more consistent in the next week once we get we're repositioning some things. So just be patient with us. But the show, we keep tuning in every day at 3. But if you are big into Reds, the Reds/Bengals talk 1 to 3 every day on Off the Bench. That you for sure. We will talk Reds every day, no doubt about on Off the Bench. We will talk Reds almost every day on this show, but there will be times where this is a college football, NFL-dominated show, right? But I do love the balance on 1410 ESPN Radio, the balance of the topics that are discussed from being Reds and Bengals-centric from 1 to 3, NFL, more. I mean, again, it's a lot of Bengals, but it's NFL. You guys told me. I listen to you. No. But you know what I mean? Like, it's NFL college football. Kinner and Kev Show has always been college football, NFL heavy, sprinkled in with NBA, college basketball, and the Reds and other stuff. So just keep that in mind. But for those of you who want that Reds fix, please go and tune in from 1 to 3 for Off the Bench as far as that. Because I love Jacob and Jimmy and Casey and Elliot. Those guys are awesome. I love working with them. So give that show a chance. And by the way, the numbers for that show really good. The numbers for our show have gotten extremely. Those have improved big time. So we're super excited about that. But we do have the 2 highest rated shows in town. So
indeed,
I just want that to be known. I want that to be clear.
And for everybody that's been missing me, I've seen your tweets. Just dealing with a little issue at the house, saying a little plumbing issue, trying to get that resolved. So it requires a lot of attention. And matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. This is probably against the law, probably against the rules of the station. Anybody out there that does any kitchen and bath remodeling, hit me up on Twitter at 1Kev Nash. We need to talk. Wife wants some remodeling done to the house. She wants a new bathroom. She wants a new bathroom, and she wants new countertops and all that type of stuff. So hit me up.
God, I hope we don't get mold. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
One little wall gets mold, and now we're getting a whole new house.
That's exactly what. Well, while we're doing this, we might as well do this.
I mean, she's not wrong. You're gonna make a mess. You might as well.
I'm just looking at her like, are you serious? Really?
So you're doing it.
Basically.
So you're doing it.
So I'm looking for a good deal. So anybody that does bathroom and kitchen remodeling, hit me up at 1Kev Nash.
Roger, by the way, message in saying, I can't imagine any show covering Reds after the kickoff of the first football game of the year. And Roger, Roger, I love Roger. Roger, Roger hangs out with us all day.
Appreciate
he's on from 1 to 3. Technically, it starts at 10 a.m. Right on Chatterbox on YouTube. Right, like he's on with us then. All right, he's interacting. Then he's interacting during the show in the afternoon. Then our show. So shout out to Roger. Appreciate him. Ron Howard. Yeah, Ron said, hey, we talk high school football as well. Yes, we do a lot of high school sports as well. We're kicking off high school. Keith Byers and I are gonna be doing some high school games coming up here in a couple weeks. My gosh, we're fine. We have the schedule finalized, but might be making a pivot. So we're just kind of holding off before we release the full schedule. So I know someone asked the other day. I'm like, be patient. We'll get that out as soon as we can. It's a good problem to have. I mean, we but
I'm a free agent this year.
I know. Remember, I told you we're gonna do that the GWalk fantasy football every week. Kevin and I, we get a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, a running back, and a defense.
Let's get it.
We'll come up with the scoring system. You can only use the same quarterback or players twice over the 10-week period out of the GWalk, right? Their website has all the stats, everything perfectly recorded. So we'll be able to, calculate who drafts the better team.
Let's get on. You do have the inside track, but it's all good.
It's like inside, they call me Connor Stout. Just need a few weeks to watch some of these games. Zadarius Smith carted off in obvious pain, according to Mary Kay Cabot. Cleveland Browns pass rusher again. That's not good. No update as far as what it could be. Cameron Justice also goes on to tweet out that not sure exactly how it happened, but Browns defensive end Zadarius Smith appears to have been injured during practice. It didn't seem like there was a contact Like there was a lot of contact, but he was on the ground grabbing his left leg at the end of the play before trainers were called.
That sucks.
Sometimes I wish it was a contact play because then but the non-contact plays are sometimes scarier than the contact plays. As far as that's concerned. So outside of that, the Browns have been fairly healthy. That's a big one, though. Darius Smith was big time for the Browns last year. Number one pass defense in the NFL last year. Great secondary, but it all had to do with the big guys up front. That was big. As far as the Cincinnati Bengals go, Cam Samples, season-ending injury. That's very unfortunate for them as far as that's concerned. Zach Taylor on Sample, consistent player, consistent person, top-notch human being, has always embraced his role and has been a whatever I can do to help the team type of guy since they drafted him. That was Zach on to Jay Morrison earlier today about that. But Cam Sample, an Achilles injury, out for the year.
Yeah, that's bad for the Cincinnati Bengals. A rotational piece on that D line. So I'm assuming that Miles Murphy, last year's first round pick out of Clemson, is gonna have to step up big time because he was like the fourth guy. Now he's gonna probably have to be like the third guy in place of Sample. So he's gonna have to step his game up.
So that's big. As far as that's concerned, Mims has been getting a big opportunity up front with, of course, Trent Brown, who was cleared over the weekend, still did not participate. I'm not sure. I didn't really follow up today to see if he participated in practice today as far as that goes, but he was listed on the depth chart as the starter. So that's something that's key. The first, preseason games coming up this week. Did you watch the Hall of Fame game?
I actually watched a couple snaps.
What a nerd you are.
Yeah. You know what? I wanted to see the new kickoff rule in effect because everybody says, "Oh, just watch the XFL," and that's exactly the same thing. I will not be watching the XFL or whatever it's called now. So I watched the NFL version. It's weird. It's weird. It's very weird. But
I think it's gonna be very dynamic. I think it's gonna be a lot. I think it's gonna.
Back in my day,
I'm not saying I like it. But y'all better learn to like it because you better learn to feel something about it because I do believe it's going to have a very drastic impact on the games. We're so used to again, special teams matters again. I've always thought just get rid of the kickoff team. Just after a change of possession, after a score, after a team scores, the opposing team, no kickoff, just get at the 20 and start the drive from there. I've always felt that way, just to stop with it. I'm not saying I like this, but I'm going to like it more than what it was. I mean, I've heard various people, Colin Cowherd, not stealing this from him, but the way he frames it, I kind of like it. It's more football. It's an additional football play. I mean, that the second a team scores and after the extra point, I can get up and I could probably spend the next 5, 6, 7 minutes and won't miss a dang thing. Now I'm gonna be antsy. Everyone that says they don't like it, I know you don't like it, but you're gonna be antsy. You're gonna be
it's new.
And I think that when I first heard a while back of Justin Fields, the Steelers were kicking the tires and the idea of Justin Fields returning kicks, I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Now I see why. When they can't move until the playmaker touches the ball,
right?
The ball, the playmaker has the advantage now. He's no longer looking around him like, oh my gosh, am I about to get hit? He's concentrating on the ball. Then once that ball touches him, it's full go from there. But those guys that can't get in a football position, they have to stand.
Right.
It's weird. So I think we're going to see a lot of big drives, a lot of big bursts. I mean, I think teams are going to start out. I think scoring is going to go up significantly. I think teams are significantly going to be starting in better field position. And I think it's going to be drastically important to have good, returners. I think that in the past, I'm like, just put a fast guy. I think you need a playmaker back there. You can't just take a John Ross and say he's fast and put him back there.
Right.
I think you need a legit playmaker. The Justin Fields thing now, it sounds like he's going to be a legit contender for this quarterback thing moving forward, so maybe wouldn't do that. But I don't think it's the craziest idea to take your best athlete and playmaker and maybe entertain the idea of putting him back there.
To your point, I'm interested to see how rosters are constructed because, if you're a team that carries 3 quarterbacks, maybe you're not carrying 3 quarterbacks. Maybe you're carrying an additional, wide receiver or running back so they can be your dedicated kickoff return person. Like you said, the kickoff had turned into, I'm just kick it into the end zone. Yep. And that's it. The days of the Teddy Gins and Devin Hester, who went to the Hall of Fame this weekend, are over. Or you're just waiting for them to get their opportunity to return a punt. The kickoff had been taken out of the game. So I'm excited that it's coming back to the game. It just looks weird. It surely looks weird. It's like everybody's like in a clump. But to your point, like you said about Colin Cowherd, it is a football style play because, there's nobody running from 60 yards away and you're running into each other. Like it's a close, confined situation. So those explosive athletes that can hit the hole can make those explosive plays happen. So yeah, the field position, you expect teams to start getting the ball like at the 50.
Yeah, and I think scoring is going to go up significantly. I think you're going to start to, scoring defenses are going to be, I think a team scoring defense will be impacted greatly by this, as far as that goes. So we talked about Brandon Ayuk. Could he be a Steeler soon? Sounds like he could potentially be on the move out of San Francisco. I think that's been the talk for a while. But Pittsburgh and the Browns over the weekend are the two teams that said that they were very close. It sounds like that the Browns kicked the tires on it. It sounds like they've backed off a bit. And the only team I've heard over the last couple of hours that's close to getting a deal done is the Pittsburgh Steelers. That would be an interesting wrinkle. Can you imagine? The weapons that your team has. Now, you take you add Ayuk to that. Then you look at the Browns' weapons. You look at the Bengals' weapons. You look at the Ravens' weapons. That's a loaded freaking division. And it's not just on the offensive side of the ball. They're all complemented by pretty solid defenses.
Yeah.
So something to keep an eye on, no doubt. Jamar Chase, his hold-in continues.
Jamar Chase.
I heard Zach Taylor do an interview the other day, and one of the interviewer, said, what does it say about Jamar Chase that he's still arriving and supporting his teammates? And then Zach Taylor would go on to talk about how great of a person he is, and that's just the kind of person he is. And I don't mean to rain on your parade, but to be clear, I didn't give Amari Cooper credit for still physically showing up, but just not actively participating. Back in 2022, when whatever the last collective bargaining agreement was, it used to be that players wouldn't show when they were doing a holdout. They wouldn't show up at all. You'd be fined $25,000 to $50,000 a day.
Right.
And then when you got that extension finally worked out, you would request, all right, I'll sign, but you need to waive my fines. Right. Okay. And owners were pissed about that, but whatever. They, put water under the bridge, right? They get it done. So that's no longer a thing now. So it's not, teams can no longer waive fines for missing camp.
Right.
It's not an optional thing. They cannot. Okay. So back in 2022, and you and I've talked about this in recent years, we started hearing the term sit in a lot. You kept referring to, you would bring that up a lot. A lot of players have been doing they're sitting in. They're showing up. They're at camp. They're supporting their teammates. But folks, I'm here to tell you, I'm not like trying to bury Jamar Chase here, but I'm not going to give credit where credit's not due. He's not being a good teammate by showing up. All right. He's being a good businessman by showing up. All right. Now, two things can be true at the same time. I've never heard Jamar Chase not be a good teammate. So let's be clear there. But stop it with that. So in 2022, they made that rule that changed, and then players started attending camp, but not physically participating in camp as a way to, again, negotiate. So stop it with that. Stop twisting that. I think that's weird. I'm not going to take part of that. You can. I'm not going to take part of that. Jamar Chase, I've never been so conflicted on how to approach something, but at the same time, I do believe in this particular situation. I've dynamically changed over the years as far as leaning more in the favor of the player side. Growth, if that's what you want to call it. I find this approach to be kind of selfish on his part because doing it a year early, I'm not a fan of.
Okay.
Not a fan of doing it a year early. If this was a year from now, heading into the final year, I'm Team Chase at that point. I'm not Team Chase right now. I'm hearing reports, too, that the Bengals were kind of blindsided by this. At first, I was ready to rip the Bengals, saying, what are you guys doing? Like, you should have already been negotiating this. Now, the Bengals never tried negotiations with them, but again, it's not like a normal practice to negotiate 2 years in advance. So the Bengals never really negotiated with them at all. And I'm not bashing the Bengals. That's a year in advance. Why would you do that 2 years in advance? But Jamar Chase's side never tried either. So on the first day of camp or the day before the first day of camp is when they're finding out that you're going to sit in. And Mike Brown's policy is that he doesn't negotiate during the season. You've now set them up to be the bad guy. You've now set your head coach up to have to answer for things that, and by the way, he won't address the media, but I'm finding out from Jay Morrison and others that the reason Zach Taylor keeps saying it's part of this plan is because the plan is not to piss off Jamar Chase. Because if it was their way, they'd say, well, he blindsided us by basically coming to us saying, give me a contract or I'm not going to participate. Keep in mind, it takes time to get these contracts built out.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to go to him the day of camp and say, I need a contract or I'm not participating. So now you're wasting all this time in camp for a team that regularly gets off to a slow start. That is something that they're trying to fix. And now this is just another year with another example of something that could potentially lead to a slow start. I'm not saying that it will lead to a slow start, but if it does, we'll look at 2 years ago was Joe Burrow coming off the season-ending injury. Last year, of course, obviously the calf injury, or then 2 years ago was the season-ending injury, and then of course he has the hernia, and then of course last year with the calf injury. And then this year it could be the Jamar Chase thing. Every year the Bengals have a reason why they start out slow. It should not have been this year. It should not have been this offseason. I don't know why fans cannot just look at one of their players and say, yeah, I'm not supporting you in this. It doesn't make you a bad fan. I'm not a fan of Jamar Chase, and here's why he doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. Remember a while back, we kept saying, stop talking about other people's money?
True that.
I don't feel bad for him. When Joe Burrow was very silent about his contract. He wouldn't say a word about his contract. The only time you heard about his contract was when Jamar Chase started uttering the words, oh, he knows what he has to do to keep us. He only cares about winning. He doesn't care about all that. He doesn't care about being the highest paid quarterback in the league. He just cares about winning. And I kept saying, be careful, because then when he does become the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL, then guys are going to twist it and say, oh, so apparently he doesn't care about winning, which I did. But I actually don't believe that. But you see my point. I don't know, man. For a guy that I'm offended by the fact that he says no comment every time you ask him about his contract. But the guy had no damn problem commenting on T. Higgins and everybody else's contract when that was brought up. That I had a problem with.
Don't disagree with you. Devil's advocate, though. The moment that they franchise T. Higgins, is obviously they're going to move on from T. Higgins. Why not lock down the deal with Jamar Chase? Because you see where the market is headed. You see it just keeps going up and up and up. Why not lock in that deal before CeeDee Lamb gets his contract? So that would be my thought. Obviously, it's super easy for me to spend the Cincinnati Bengals money sitting here in Dayton, Ohio. It's super easy. That would be my only situation. Those are two lines of demarcation where that word has come up twice today. Where, hey man, we're not going to re-sign T. We're going to re-sign you. You're the guy that we're going to go with. Okay, great. Well, from the Cincinnati Bengals perspective, before CeeDee Lamb gets a crazy contract, let's lock him in so he's taken care of, and let the Dallas Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb worry about their contract, because he's going to get paid more than him. So like that's my only thing. But to your point, yes, like if that's true about him just, hey man, showing up the day before, said, yeah, by the way, I'm not practicing unless they get a new contract. No, that's not only goofy on his part, but his agent's part as well. If you were trying to really negotiate in good faith, you should have been talking about this leading into it. The very moment that they said they were going to franchise tag T. Higgins, his agent should have been on the phone like, oh, good. Well, let's make a deal. Let's get this going and popping. So that's where I'm at with it.
And from that standpoint, I'm with you too. They came out to the media and said, we'll bend over backwards to get a Jamar Chase deal done. Well, I don't know how far backwards is for them, because they haven't got, this doesn't look like backwards, but like it's the one thing with Jamar Chase though, let's keep in mind, we shouldn't be this surprised. For months.
True.
For over a year.
A year, yes.
Let's go back to, in fact, it was a year. It was last offseason at this time. Jamar Chase was telling everybody, man, I can't wait. And his words, not ours, he said he could not wait for Justin Jefferson to get paid to reset the market for him. So he was kind of telling everyone, I'm keeping an eye on Justin Jefferson's contract, because once that's done, that's when I want my money. He kind of has let it be known that he wants paid when Justin Jefferson got paid, and Justin Jefferson got paid. So it is interesting. As far as that's concerned, I'm just not going to give a guy the benefit of the doubt that had so much to say about other people's contracts, but every time a reporter asks him, he says no comment. And like he's annoyed with us for asking. That's that stuff I don't like. Like you can't say no comment when you have a lot of comments on other people's stuff. Bottom line is this deal will get done, or maybe not though. Touch of Jay Morrison. He said it. Mike Brown doesn't blink. He doesn't blink. So it's like how aggressive is Jamar Chase willing to be with this? Because he's a different cat. He's kind of different.
Right. I mean, obviously he's outperformed his contract. I mean, I think this year his base salary is $1 million for a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. So like, I know that's like his perspective, and he's seen what's happening across the league with other guys, like with CeeDee Lamb probably going to get franchise tag. He saw it with his own teammate getting franchise tag. He's trying to avoid getting the franchise tag. He's trying to cash in early. And from a employee perspective, I wouldn't be mad at him. Like, hey man, you trying to start that clock early. Like that's the term that we hear so much in basketball, why guys go to the league early. Let's start our clock early so we can get that second contract earlier, and then you get your third contract earlier, and then if you really good, you can get that fourth big time contract like a Paul George. You know what I'm saying? So like that's his whole inkling here. It's like, hey man, I've obviously been playing better than a lot of these other guys. Let me cash out now, and then I can get it. Maybe I can get 2 more contracts out of this situation. But from the Cincinnati Bengals perspective, all this talk about Brandon Ayuk, you know, he's going to get a deal, whether it's the 49ers, whether it's the Steelers, whether it's the Commanders. He's going to get a deal. He's going to break the bank too. CeeDee Lamb's going to break the bank. He's going to break the bank too. He being Jamar Chase. If I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I want to break the bank before they do, because they're going to make it go higher next year when you actually have to sign him.
Well, I look at it in these stages. Justin Jefferson was the new iPhone, 35. So the next iPhone is going to be about 36, 37. You don't want to be we changed the shape of the
Right.
apps on the phone. You want to be the new iPhone. So he's not going to reset the market. So like, he's not going to get that much more. So it's like, but here's the problem. It's the guarantee. So Jay Morrison also shared that it was the guarantees. The guarantees are also the big holdup. Because keep in mind, the guarantees and then the signing bonus. Remember why they changed the name of Paul Brown Stadium?
Paycor.
It was to get all that money into escrow, to have the money. For one, they needed money up front to pay Joe Burrow. They kind of need a lot of, let's not act like 35 mil. 50 mil and 35 mil. It's a 15 mil difference, but you still, over all these years added up, they're going to owe Jamar Chase a ton up front. A ton up front that they may not have. They may not have all of it up front, which could be the other problem. What is why they need another year. This isn't a cash-rich owner. It's not a hot take. I'm not making fun of your owner. We've had Jack Duffin on before, who's a salary cap expert. There are some owners, the reason that the Browns have been able to go get Zadarius Smith and be able to pay, to pay, Denzel Ward, and to be able to pay Nick Chubb, and to be able to pay David Njoku, and pay Myles Garrett, and pay Deshaun Watson, and pay Amari Cooper. The reason that they're able to do that is because they are rich enough to pay everything up front, all the bonuses and guarantees, right? Some owners can't. That's the difference. Everyone has the same salary cap. Not every owner has that money up front to get these deals done, which is why they kind of want to, oh man, I don't have to pay you for another 2 years, so I don't want to. So people say, well, the contract will be backloaded. Yeah, but not the upfront. You got to pay a lot up front for the signing bonus that they may not have. That would be my thinking as to what the holdup could be, because I'm with you. The Bengals would make better business sense to get it done now before next year and the year after when that continues to go up, but they may not have all the money up front to get it done right now. That's the thing. That's
a very good point. And I'm looking at the 2025 wide receiver free agent class. None of these guys outside of T. Higgins are going to, quote unquote, break the bank. Yep. And I'm not even thinking that T. Higgins is going to be like $30 million. It's probably going to be like 28, 29. Stephon Diggs, who's getting up there in age. T. Higgins, Keenan Allen also getting up there in age. Amari Cooper getting up there in age. Brandon Cooks up there in age. Deontay Johnson, who's relatively young still. DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams. None of them guys. None of these dudes are going to break the bank. The only guy that's going to, make waves is T. Higgins. Out of these guys, at least. And CeeDee Lamb, but CeeDee Lamb's going to get paid this year.
But T is not in that upper echelon.
No,
so
yeah, he's not going to get like the 35s. He might get like 28.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill just renegotiated a deal that he didn't take less. He just added an extra. He extended the contract and then they averaged it out over the extension.
Yeah.
So it absorbs some of what he had up front because he was making 30. He was the highest paid wide receiver at one point at 30 before John, and now he's making on average 27 a year. He actually makes less average per year now. Again, you have Jalen Watt. I think he sees it too. Do I want to go be the number one wide receiver somewhere? I think he likes what they have in Miami. You have a quarterback that's making a lot of money, but you also have Jalen Waddle who's making a lot of money. That's the key right there. We'll see what ends up happening. But the cash rich owner thing, when people make fun of the Bengals for that, I'm not making fun of it. I'm just pointing it out. That matters. That doesn't, like when we want to talk about contracts, why don't the Bengals, they're not flexible enough to do it. And who's to say that they won't get it done? They'll find a way to get it done. But I'm telling you right now, Kevin, it's going to be done at the expense of something else. Don't complain next offseason when they don't spend big money on a pass rusher or a key piece in the secondary, or if they have to trade away some of these offensive linemen. You know what I mean? Like that's the good with the bad as far as that's concerned. All right. We will talk Reds baseball coming up next. Even a little Guardians. The Guardians are the best. They have the best record in baseball. Are they the best team in baseball? We'll talk about that when we come back. The Cincinnati Reds, they dropped 2 of 3 against the Giants. They get no hit on Friday night. 6.5 games out of the wild card. Last place.
The tone of your voice.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Are the Reds a bad team or are they an underperforming team? Jim Bowden comes out with a very interesting tweet that has completely changed my view of David Bell and the Cincinnati Reds. Are the Cincinnati Reds an underachieving team or a bad team? I mean, you could say an underachieving team is playing bad. But I've asked this all season. Is this a good team playing bad or just a bad team being bad? Everyone just said, oh, it's a team that, it's a bad team because of injuries. I'm here to tell you that the analytics tell you a different story. Jim Bowden's tweet that I'm about to read you when we come back tells you that this is a team that should be better than what they are and significantly better. And I'll explain when we come back. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.